Hi, it's V with Crafting Daily Dose. I have another Back to Basics video, and today we're focused on punches. I'm using the Strawberry Builder Punch as an example. This is the Strawberry Builder Punch, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use it if you haven't used punches before. So at the top here, it shows you the shapes that are going to get cut out, and then if you look on the front side, it has a small summary of those shapes so that when you're storing them, you can look at that for easy reference. When you turn the punch over, you can see where it's actually going to punch, and then there is a slide right down here. To open the punch, you're going to slide this back, and what that does is it pops the punch open so that it can be used. Take some paper and insert it into the punch. Now you could turn it this way and then punch down on it, but I usually do it upside down so that I can see what I'm doing. So you can see that that was very quick, and in just one go you get all 4 of these shapes at once. You can either stamp first and then punch out the shapes, or you can punch out the shapes first and stamp them, and I'll show you both strategies. Now you may be wondering what happens if you want more of one thing, like let's say the flowers, but you don't necessarily need all of these other shapes. Let's talk about that first. If I want to get just one shape in particular, I will go ahead and measure the height of that shape. So for example, this flower is 3/4 of an inch high. I'll add 1/4 inch to that measurement. So I have a 1-inch strip of cardstock. Remember, it's about 1/4 of an inch more than the height of the shape, just to give myself a little bit of wiggle room. Now, my flower is on the left, so I'm going to be feeding the paper in through the left. And then once I've punched out the first one, then I'll just keep feeding the paper through and keep doing that process. Now for this punch, if I want to do the strawberry at the bottom, I would do the same thing. Notice though that you're going to get some of the shape either on the left or on the right, depending on which direction you're feeding the paper through. And so for this, I decided I might as well make it big enough to get both the strawberry and the flower at the same time. Even if I don't need the flower just yet, I can save it for another purpose because that part is going to be punched out anyway. So even if I did it down here, if I cover my strawberry, then I just get a partial flower. And instead of doing that, I might as well get the whole thing. To continue our example, if I wanted to do the strawberry cap, I would feed my paper in through the right. And then for the leaf, I have a choice. I can feed it in from the sides, as we've been doing, or I can measure the width and cut a strip that is going to be wide enough to cover that, and then feed my paper in from the top. After I have the first few, I would just need to go back and cut this off so that I can continue feeding the paper in. So that's how you can concentrate on just one of the shapes when you're using punches like this that cut out multiple shapes at one time. When you're done using your punch, go ahead and squeeze it closed. And then slide this back. That locks it into place in this closed position so it stores a little bit flatter and it's ready to go for next time. Now you might choose to stamp your images first and then punch them out. And if you're using a punch that has a single shape, then that's more straightforward, but I'll show you how to do it for punches with multiple shapes too. This is the piece that we had punched out at the beginning, and we're going to use the negative space as a template. Before I do that, I want to make sure that I've placed my template in the same orientation as my punch itself. So in other words, I don't want to use the template this way because then that's going to make things confusing. So I want to orient it the same way, and then I will go ahead and put it on top of my paper. I'm using a little bit of washi tape here to keep it in place. So I'm going to use that negative space there as a guide to place my stamp. Now when you're doing this for yourself, don't be afraid to get your head right over your work area so that you can see better to align things. Now when you take the template off, you've got your images there. And then it's going to align with the punch. You can also pre-stamp single images and then feed them through the punch. If you do this, you just want to make sure that the spacing between your images is enough to safely go through. These flowers are small, and so they don't need a lot of spacing in between them. You might choose to punch out your pieces first and then stamp on them. If the little pieces tend to shift around on you, you can use this negative space template as a way to help hold them in place. You can even put a little piece of press and seal from your kitchen underneath your template, sticky side up. That's the stuff here, and it's going to help hold down the pieces. And it's still easy to pop them back out. The Stamparatus is a stamp positioning tool, and I can use it to make this process go even more quickly. So here I've got my template down on top of the Stamparatus, and I've got some magnets to hold it in place. I'm going to take my stamp and then line it up in the hole. Then I'll bring my cover down, press on that stamp. When I lift it back up, the stamp comes along with it and it's in the perfect position to use. Let's put in a blank, ink up the stamp, and then press the cover down. The nice thing about this is that if you get an incomplete image, you can do it again. What's really cool for layering stamps like this is that I can put on my second cover, and I'll put it on the hinges down here. Now I can take the fill-in stamp, position it in place, close down the second cover, you can't see it off camera, but I inked up that stamp, and now I'm going to fold the second lid down. And my strawberry is ready to go. Let me take this one out. I'll pop in a new blank and ink up my stamps and do it again. If I wanted to switch gears and do a different image, I can take this off, flip it over, and put it back on the hinge. That way I don't have to move my strawberry in case I need to come back to it. I can now use the other side for a different image. Punches are fast and straightforward to use. Now, if you ever have a punch that jams up on you, here are some things that you can try. Now, these are not sanctioned, but I do find them helpful. The first thing you can try is to put it in the freezer. The cold is going to make the metal contract, and sometimes that's just enough to reduce the friction between the stuck edges and it will pop up on its own. If that doesn't work, you might try a lubricant like WD-40, but if you do that, make sure that you wipe it out well and then do several scrap punches afterwards to get rid of any residue so that it doesn't get onto your paper projects. If those things don't work, you can also try carefully pressing down on the cutting edges, putting some pressure to see if you can get it to pop open. Or sometimes if I just strike it with the handle of my tool very hard and quickly, the spring will pop open. And if those measures don't work, you can always give Stampin' Up! A call. I hope that these tips will help you to make the best use of your punches. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time, and until then, have a great day.